Originally, I was going to do something on Palpatine and the end of The Phantom Menace, but I wanted to do something as well on the musical themes, and I think it would be too much to put it in one video, so I'm going to split it up. So let's get right to it. I think, like most people, at the end of Phantom Menace, when Augie's March is playing, I thought it was a little bit too much with the trumpets and the children. It seemed a little bit too silly, especially which comes after later in the other chapters, which are filled with much more warfare, a lot more dying and tragedy and suffering. However, if you look closely and listen closely to the Augie March, and this is not me, this has been discovered by a lot of people, it's been a fierce debate, but one I was not aware of, is if you listen closely, Augie's March, it seems shocking, is the Emperor's theme. That's right, the Emperor's theme in Return of the Jedi is in Phantom Menace. Now, it's not a note-for-note comparison. There are a lot of little differences between the Augie March and what we hear with the Emperor's theme. But essentially, if you speed it up a little bit and look at some of the musical similarities, it's right there. Yeah, Augie's March is basically a warning signal. And you can sort of see thematically what Lucas as well as Williams is trying to hint at. Because the Augie's March has trumpets and children's voices, and the Emperor has these kind of old men's voices in the choir. So there's this kind of progression in the ages of the people, but also in terms of the society, because of course the children are going to grow up to become stormtroopers. So already we're sort of seeing the slow militarization of society. So the Naboo victory is sort of a Pyrrhic victory because they haven't really won. They haven't really resisted the Empire or the Emperor. They've sort of given into him by becoming militarized and becoming this much more ferocious warrior race, and so that's exactly what he wanted. So either way the crisis would have ended up, whether the Trade Federation would have won or Padme would have won, they've fallen into his trap. And musically, Williams and Lucas are doing some clever things to hint at that. Now, it'll probably seem a little bit like conspiracy theory, but we now do have some additional evidence. At the time that Phantom was about to be released, Williams gave an interview where he basically gave it away, saying that he was trying to play with how he was going to put the Imperial March somewhere in Phantom Menace. And he just gave this very sly grin in an interview. And so, yeah, there's definitely confirmation that this is an intentional thing. This is not something that just happened because, well, maybe we just wanted to do a similar melody or something. No, it's there. Augie's March is the kind of warning signal that the Phantom Menace, I would assume this is Palpatine, has already won his victory. And the Emperor's theme is a kind of nice thematic as well as musical end note because, of course, the Phantom Menace is the first chapter, and Return of the Jedi is the final chapter, and there you are. And then, of course, the ending of Phantom Menace itself mirrors Return of the Jedi, right? Because we have that big celebration with Ewoks. Here we have the Gungans. And I know some people think, well, it's also Star Wars 1977, where Leia gives out all those medals. And that's true. There's a lot of thematic similarities, right, with Chewie and Jar Jar. But again, if we look more closely, I think it really is much more of a Return of the Jedi. But it's not just a shallow visual callback. There's a big difference that this is sort of the beginning of hostilities, the beginning of the rise of the Sith. So, of course, it makes sense that the Sith music is already there. It's just sort of hidden, just in plain sight. Hence the Phantom, right? The Phantom is already among us. You just have to listen and look closely enough, and then you can pick it up. All right, this has been a little interesting tidbit about Phantom Menace. What do you guys think? Is this a conspiracy theory, or do you think Lucas and Williams cleverly inserted this very interesting musical theme into Phantom Menace? I'll just add a little side note, which is a kind of extra little bit of information, that Williams did the score for Nixon, which is the Oliver Stone film. And of course, Nixon is this kind of very corrupt political figure, and there's a lot of evidence that Lucas based the Emperor on Nixon. So that's a little interesting kind of intertextual link between the two. And Williams also did a lot of other things for Oliver Stone. He did the musical for JFK. So there's a little bit of an interesting background between them. I'm not sure if Lucas was explicitly aware of this, but it does sort of fit the themes of Phantom Menace of political corruption. All right, this has been Star Wars Analyzed on the Williams factor in the finale of Phantom Menace. Star Wars Analyzed, if you like the content, please hit the like button, please subscribe, share the content if you want. Star Wars Analyzed on the finale of Phantom Menace and the musical clues in terms of the larger themes. Star Wars Analyzed, please be safe. Thank you for listening.